Welcome back. Today I want to talk about the healing practice of acceptance. And I call this a practice because acceptance, complete acceptance, the way that brings us into reality 100% and more, is really a practice. It just doesn't happen by our making up our mind and saying, from today I'm going to accept this. No, acceptance is a process because the more difficult some outcome or situation or event in our life is for our conscious mind to accept it, the more our mind resists this reality. But we can't move forward unless we go through the experience and we teach ourselves how to accept. I would like to call this the sacred practice of acceptance because the practice of acceptance brings us to the place in us and in the world outside that is the most sacred place. And that most sacred place is the present moment, when we can be present 100% with neither craving nor attachment, neither craving nor resistance. That moment, that experience makes us tap into reality, live our life at the highest vibration possible. Why is acceptance so difficult? The reason that acceptance is so difficult is because we are not wired to accept reality. We are wired to pursue pleasure, avoid pain. So that's our wiring. Meanwhile, life is going on its own track, on its own trajectory. And all that we want to do is to make life go in alignment with our pleasures and away from pain. And often it works, but very often it does not. Dreams fall apart, unexpected events happen to us, and where we thought we would be or where we wanted to be is far removed from reality as it is unfolding. And this gap between reality and our expectations from it causes great resistance. And acceptance is what we need to do to come closer and closer, because whatever change we want to bring into our lives, if we want to improve our life, if we want to bring ourselves some relief, it cannot happen from this gap between where we are and where we think we should be. We have to bridge that gap. And in order to bridge this gap, which is a process, I've come up with a 10-step plan. A 10-step plan to come into the state, the asana of complete acceptance. So let's go through these 10 steps that I'm going to explain to you and take ourselves, just as in asana, you have to flex and you have to teach your muscle to go a little lower or a little higher, moving the way you want it to. In the same way, we take our mind slowly, one step at a time, to complete acceptance. The first step in this 10-step journey of acceptance is acknowledgement. Let's start with acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is simply looking at what just happened, naming it. This is what just happened. Allowing ourselves to name it. That's the first one. Acknowledge it, name it. Let's not lie to ourselves. Let's not live in a place of hope of where we would like to be or regrets of where we could not have been. All of that, leave all of that. Acknowledge. This is where it is. Today, on this particular day of the year, this particular month, this time, this is where I am. That's the first step. And we might need to do this for a few days before we even start the second step. So that's the first step. The second step after acceptance is coexistence. Coexistence. What are we coexisting with? As we teach our mind to move towards what is, we are still not completely there. Part of us is in what is, and a big part of us is still in where we wanted to be. And that's all right. This is a process. Acceptance is a process. And so we take this thing of, okay, I'm going to coexist. Maybe only 5% of me has accepted, and 95% of me is either in denial or in fighting with reality. But that's okay. Coexistence of what is and maybe what might have been. And that's all right. We do that. So, acceptance, coexistence. The next step is compassion. Compassion for ourselves. Compassion for all those involved. Compassion is like the grease that gets a wheel moving. Very often in life, we get stuck in the same place because we have run out of compassion. Compassion for ourselves. Compassion for others who are also suffering just like us. And in order to get those wheels moving again, we have to call upon compassion. Compassion comes from the heart. Opening up the heart, being kind to ourselves. Kind to those who are suffering along with us. Kind to all those involved in this journey. And just cultivating kindness. Just cultivating compassion. Cultivating just softness. A soft acceptance. Acceptance is not a hard exercise. It comes with a great softness. Maybe we breathe more often. Maybe we exhale longer than we inhale. These are the ways by which we move towards conscious compassion. And gradually, this leads to equanimity. Equanimity means, as the word suggests, equal amity. That is, we just start befriending the present moment. We look at whatever it is that the present moment is, whether it's a failure, a breakup, an illness, and we say hello to it. Hello, my illness. Hello, my body. Hello, this particular tragedy. I didn't ask for you to come into my life, but here you are. And I will learn to respect you and the gifts you bring to me. Equanimity is slowly teaching ourselves to come to a place where we open up to the present instead of fighting with it. Giving up the fight, giving up the battle, equanimity. And that equanimity, cultivating that, moving towards the next step, which is as equanimity descends upon us, we make peace. We make peace with everything that has happened to us, whether we chose it or not. We start trusting somehow or the other. I do not know why my soul signed up for this experience. I do believe that all those things that we cannot change, like the Serenity Prayer says, God grant me the courage to change the things I can, and the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. That serenity comes from trust. God grant me the trust to accept the things I cannot change. We have to trust our life. We have to trust our story. We have to trust our soul's plan, because everything is part of a larger plan. Trusting. Trusting helps us to relax. Trusting helps us to allow life to participate. We say okay to our soul. We say, okay, I don't know why you planned this, but I'm going to trust you. And I'm going to allow whatever opportunities for growth you are offering me in the process. Life is not about pursuing pleasure, avoiding pain, which is what the ego thinks it is. Life is about growing, opening up, opening our heart, softening it, cultivating compassion, wisdom, raising our vibe, All that is possible, but in order for that to occur, we have to accept and we have to trust. Trust and allow life to come in. Instead of shutting the door to life, we start opening the door just a little bit and say, fine, coming. Allowing and cultivating non-attachment. The next step is non-attachment. All our pain and resistance comes because we are so attached to the life we thought we would have. We are so attached to our dreams. We are so attached sometimes to our pain. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. How about cultivating non-attachment? Yeah, acceptance does not mean wallowing in pain. Acceptance means allowing the future, not wallowing in the present. Trusting, allowing. Cultivating non-attachment to our sob stories or our long-lost dreams. Non-attachment to all that is not, so that we can be more available to all that is. And that slowly leads us to the next step, which is cooperating. Cooperate with your destiny. Cooperate with your destiny. There is a quote by Carl Jung that I like very much. He says, your destiny finds you in the paths you take to avoid it. We all want to avoid things. But once we start trusting our destiny and opening the door to it and cooperate with it, we say, fine, what do you have for me here? What lessons, what gifts, what opportunities are you inviting me to enter into? So the next step, as we move closer and closer and closer to complete acceptance, cultivating non-attachment, cooperating with our destiny, suddenly, just when we thought all was lost, we find ourselves empowered. Acceptance does not mean defeat. It just means not this way. There could be so many other ways. It's just like when you're driving and you find one road that is blocked because there's some traffic or there's some accident. We don't just stop there. We don't just sit there crying. We say, fine, I'll have to find another way, no matter how long it takes me. So I immediately open up myself up. Maybe I open my phone and start looking at the map at different ways. That's cooperating with your destiny. And when we cooperate with our destiny, it empowers us. Many pathways open up. The great Wayne Dyer once said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. Acceptance does that. It changes the things that we are looking at, and suddenly a world of possibilities becomes open to us. That's empowerment, and that's authentic power. That does not come from things always going our way. Authentic power comes from an inner dynamism, a resilience, a playful creativity that helps us to be a sport in life and say, okay, fine, if that's plan A, what's going to be my plan B? If that's the card life deals me, what's going to be my next move? These 10 steps to acceptance, when you put them all together, acknowledgement of what is, coexistence with past and present, compassion for ourselves and others, equanimity with our failures, making peace with reality, trusting, allowing reality to show its cards, non-attachment to what is not, cooperating with our destiny, empowerment that comes from all of this. If you put them all together, the 10-lettered word, acceptance. This is a practice. Rome was not built in a day. Our mind was not made up in a day. It will take us months and sometimes years to unlearn and create a new mindset to face the reality that we did not expect. Let's be patient. Let's continue on this journey, practicing the 10 steps as often, over and over again, till we arrive finally at the freeing and empowering place of complete acceptance. So thank you for joining me today. I hope these 10 steps become a part of your life and help you to face your reality and allow it to surprise you with its possibilities.